You're probably one of the most intelligent people I have ever met in the startup system.
If it was easy, if it was openly accessible, available, every second person would do it.
Absolutely.
It comes down to 5% of population or even less that do the big change. I had my own structure how to progress this without listening. Everyone was saying, everyone has ideas. So At the end of the day, you have to have your way of progressing and just do. Have a plan and execute. That's the most important.
So 5 years on your own with no funding and no real business partners.
Resilience is very important, and what actually gives energy to that resilience is the progress, because you do one step, you see the success, and you are like, okay, I'm on the right track.
So basically,
we will focus to US.
If anyone in the government's watching, if you give her the money, we'll build it here and make Australia great.
The fact that you are a small startup doesn't mean you don't have the great and brilliant ideas.
Absolutely. In fact, I would hope more likely you do, and you have the patents as well. So you're in a very unique position. Yeah. Mariam, welcome to the show. I am really excited to share your story. You're probably one of the most intelligent people I have ever met in the startup system with your scientific background. And I think what you're doing is so super cool. And I personally love seeing startups that are doing something more in the physical world rather than just always building software. So welcome to our show. Now, for the sake of our viewers, do you want to give us a very quick overview of what you're doing right now? And then we'll go back into your past and sort of how you got there and so. But describe your business to us now.
Thanks for the invitation, Steve. It's my pleasure to be here. I was looking forward actually for this chat. So my name is Mariam. I'm the founder of AirLabOne. AirLabOne is an Australian-born deep tech startup, and we're working on embedded technology to digitize assets for complex and critical industries, starting from healthcare to space, microgravity, and mining. And why we do this? It's because we want to contribute to transition from physical to digital world and create autonomy for these industries. And today, in this environment where there is a shortage of human resources, the AI impact, we need to find out ways how these critical industries can self-manage. My background is science. I'm an analytical chemist who worked for universities. I did my postdoc at the University of Geneva, then University of Sydney. And I saw that, access to physical world sometimes can be very tricky and not open and accessible. When I say physical world, it means, for example, crucial medical device. Where your entire research depends on that one analysis or test to continue your research. And that triggered that challenge that I was personally and professionally facing while doing my research, triggered the idea of AirLabOne. How we could actually digitize complex assets in order to create digital access to this physical world and create autonomy towards those physical assets. And here is the AirLabOne today.
So is another way of describing it, you're kind of taking existing machinery in those industries such as mining and healthcare and so forth, and obviously space has got a lot more to go, and you are making it intelligent. Is that a good way of describing it? Yeah,
these days it's easier to describe compared to 2-3 years ago. Now everyone talks about the physical AI because AI is moving from digital to physical. And the whole idea is how we can make these physical assets. You mentioned devices, right? It's an example, medical device. It can be mining machinery. It can be device, scientific device in space, doing some research in space. So how we can make these devices to self-control or self-regulate.
So almost like it's aware to some degree of itself.
Correct. And that's a big advantage for industries which are critical, safety critical.
Like space, mining, places which are not particularly friendly for human beings to be in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the environment is not so friendly, and the network is not always connected. The environments are harsh.
Yeah.
So we should be able, these, assets to think for themselves and help the humans.
It's
and
a
work
crazy,
together.
crazy concept to me. So tell me a little bit about your background. So this is obviously a problem that you encountered. Like most founders, you had something that was frustrating you in what you were doing and you decided to go and solve that. But before you sort of got to that, you did all sorts of interesting things. So run me through some of the projects, because obviously when we first met, I think, well, gosh, when was that? Maybe 6-7 months ago,
Yes.
we talked through some of those things. It was a while ago now.
Yes.
So talk us through some of that stuff that you did before you did AirLabOne, because there was some really interesting, I mean, you've had a fascinating life.
Absolutely. I still love my pharmacology. I
Yep.
did some drug discovery research. And deep in my heart, I still want this technology to service the pharmacology drug discovery. Hence, our next move is some experimentation in microgravity. So that's the next chapter for
So what do you mean
AirLabOne.
by microgravity? A lot of people won't understand that term.
So this means that some experiments we cannot conduct under terrestrial conditions, because cells behave differently under terrestrial in microgravity, where there is no gravity conditions. So the whole idea is how we could, even the physical assets we use on terrestrial, how we could adapt them, so we could do experiments in low gravity.
Yeah.
Right? Because the cells behave differently there.
And are you talking about space here?
Yes, and that's where we are now designing our, research around. And AirLabOne is very research-intensive technology. We come up always with new ideas. And going back to your original question, so the drug discovery is my passion still. And again, this technology, AirLabOne, came to the world because I wanted actually to speed up my own research. And that's why I wanted to create digital, way how we can access these machineries and devices and etc. So my research was when doing postdoc on male contraception, which is still like my passion, how we could,
essentially a pill for men.
Yes, yes, pill for men. But yeah, so that's a research I was doing. I did some research on anti-cancer drugs for estrogen-positive breast cancer cells. I did some research on natural products, seeking for new resources for new drug candidates. And I have received quite a few prestigious grants for my own research from European Union, from University of Geneva, Swiss government. Then I got a grant between the University of Geneva, University of Sydney. Hence, I started working with the University of Sydney. And then kind of naturally, I came up with the AirLabOne.
Yeah.
And I'm quite now happy with the progress where I started and where we are heading towards.
So tell me this, and these always fascinate me. And it could be that you're right. I'm going to come up with a way to do a drug discovery for male contraception, or it could be I want to take this machine and I want to make it think for itself so I can get on with other things. When you have that problem in front of you, where the hell do you start? Like, I mean, the kind of problems I solve are nothing like that. So, I mean, I'm sure you have a very different way of thinking to me. I hope you do. But where do you start when someone goes to you, right, we want to create a contraception for men? Do you go, okay, well, let's look at the female one and see if we can adjust it? Or do you just start from scratch? And when you say you want to take a machine and give it a level of intelligence so it can sort of maintain itself, I can't even imagine
where do you
start with that?
Look, in my case, of course, I think researcher thinks differently. That's why we're different. That's why we come up with different solutions, right? That's the beauty of it, right? The science. In my case, the solutions come on my own experience. So I face a problem, and then I'm trying to understand if there is a solution.
Yeah.
So that is called the research part of it. So researching if there is a solution, and in the process of might be a long, thinking, brainstorming, then you come up with a solution.
Right.
Yeah, and in AirLabOne, I faced the issue, and then I designed a system, then which I applied for a patent, and which was then being granted, and it gave me the courage to think that this is new technology, so new way of solving the problem that others are trying also to solve, and gave me the kind of the courage that this is innovation.
Yep.
We have to continue building it, continue investigating how we can complete the development of it, deployment of it, and hopefully see the fruits of it, solving the accessibility issue. So in my case, it was all organic, and facing the issue, the problem, then trying to find out how I can solve it, and then making sure it's a new way of, technology to solve the problem, and then building it. And we are actually now ready to pilot it.
Talk to me about the patent. Like, a patent is not an easy thing to achieve. And obviously you've got to prove X amount of things during that. Did you do that on your own? Did you just go, right, I'm going to do that so that I've got, was it more to prove to yourself that there was an opportunity, or did you do it because you wanted to own that space, which I guess to some degree you would? Or what? I'm interested in that thinking, because it's a lot of work, my understanding, to do one of those things. I'm not sure how long it took you. I'd be interested to find out. But yeah, what made you sort of go and start there?
Because again, it comes back to my background. I'm a scientist and researcher, and thinking innovative way is very important, and not repeating what is already there is very important. Otherwise, it's a waste of resources and time. So for me to make sure that what I'm going to spend my time forward is new.
Yeah, you want to make sure you were making sure that no one had done it before. Is that really it?
Correct.
Okay, I understand.
And to kind of prove it, or to have third party check your idea, your technology, was important. And one way of doing that is via the IP, the patent, where they check. So first it's Australian field in Australia, right? It was checked by Australian committee, which was granted, and then it was checked by the European committee, which was granted, and then by the US committee. So currently we have around 5 granted patents.
That's amazing.
Yes, and interestingly, it gives me the way, the reason to think that we're solving global issue.
Yeah, because no one else is doing it.
Yeah, and globally, it's at least in these 3 major markets, Australia, US, and Europe, we have a chance to succeed as IP holder and doing something innovative. And having said that, doesn't mean we stop here. We still have like provisional patents. We have like patent strategy, because one of the strengths of AirLabOne is the innovation. And it comes from my background as a founder, right?
Well, let's talk about that, because, as a scientist, you're working usually in quite structured, red tape-driven environments. You founded this business now, and you've done it pretty much on your own. You haven't taken funding. You've bootstrapped it. As you and I have talked about, you have worked goodness knows how many hours. You've got your technical team now, but you've really done this all on your own. Now you're at a stage now where you potentially are looking at funding and you're potentially looking at growing. But talk to me about that journey, because again, even though as a researcher you are kind of on your own, this is different, because usually researchers work in, like I said, sort of frameworks and environments that are very structured. As a founder, and you're up at the University Innovation Center, but you're just out there on your own. It's like, here's a desk, here's a computer, off you go. Yes. How did you find that transition? Because
tough one.
Yeah, I'll bet it's tough. And you've been battling away for quite some time. It's not like this is your 6 weeks. Like, how long has the business been going now?
The business around is 5 years.
Yeah, so 5 years on your own with no funding.
Yes.
And no real business partners. Yeah, a technical team, but that's it.
Yes. Still growing.
I know.
And it's just amazing. And when they say ahead of time, is AirLabOne. Because when we started like physical AI, having a patent and digital twins, autonomous digital twins, it's us. Now I see like many companies coming, like startups on their website, physical AI. I'm like, we have already patents around this, right?
Yeah.
And this is encouraging that others also recognize what can be done. Like there is a gap they are trying to solve. And to answer to your question, it's a lonely world.
Yeah.
Being a founder, changing kind of from research wet lab to hardware lab.
Which is a huge change too, right?
Change. And another world is resilience. You have to be resilient. You have to truly believe in what you do and still structure thinking. You should know like what you are achieving and have your structure to target and achieve. But the resilience is the key word. Never give up, because if it was easy, if it was openly accessible, available, every second person would do it.
Absolutely.
It comes down to 5% of population or even less that do the big change. And those people think differently, right? Those people have the guts and, belief and resilience to go forward. So, of course, it's a lonely world.
And you've done this not just here, like you've traveled to the US, you've worked, you've literally been all over.
Correct.
5 years, and now you're ready to pilot, right?
Yes.
So, that's a long time.
Yes.
It's a long time on your own. Do you think your research background built that resilience? Well, research and drug discovery in itself is a repetitive process, right? You fail and you go again, you fail, you go again, you fail, you go again. That's research, I guess, to some degree.
Yes.
Do you think that prepared you for this? Because 5 years is an extraordinary amount of time to sort of push on your own, and you've got to this incredible spot now where you're ready to go. But where do you think that came from?
Yes, basically, when we say 5 years, it's not like 5 years where working on the same product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first 2-3 years, I was kind of finding technology applications.
Yeah.
Right, starting from EdTech, and then I was advised, don't go EdTech.
Who advised you that?
I tried to approach to some investors, and they were like, no one is investing in EdTech, just move to health tech. So it was kind of back and forward until I started end of 2023. So it's only 2 years, this progress.
Still 2 years.
Yes, where I actually stick to my gut feeling, my thinking.
And you ignored the investors. Good.
And I had my own structure how to progress this without listening. Everyone was saying, everyone has ideas. So at the end of the day, you have to have your way of progressing and just do. Have a plan and execute. That's the most important. So the first 3 years was inventions, patents, trying how am I going to build a business around this, team building, fundraising, which was wrong, because before fundraising, you should have a product, pilot, and then go back. But because I was coming from research lab, I had no idea about startup business. So I was following some advices. Yes. So this all progress is the last 2 years, right? And again, I think it's a good progress, and still the resilience is very important. And what actually gives energy to that resilience is the progress, because you do one step, you see the success, and you are like, okay, I'm on the right track. Let's do the next step.
I think humans need to feel they're moving forward, right? I think all humans, it doesn't matter what it is they're doing, as long as they feel they're not standing still, they usually have a level of satisfaction. Look, I think a lot of founders, first-time founders, fall into that trap where they take advice from everyone because they don't know. Which you did for quite some time. What was the moment, or what caused you to go, you know what? I'm just going to do what I think I should do. I'm going to ignore everybody else. And that's obviously the key to where you are now and success. And I think it's probably the most important thing every founder should learn. They need to do what's inside of them, the gut feel. Yes. But what was it for you that made you make that switch?
For me I was hearing around you are a chemist, pharmacology. What do you do with deep tech? Lab on a chip, or these embedded technologies, engineering, your field is. What I did, I approached NVIDIA because I was trying to find talent to build my twin. So I have this patent, who is going to build it. So thankfully, I applied to NVIDIA Inception, and to my surprise,
and what's that? Is that a program of they do?
It's a program that they onboard cutting edge technologies to build new type of technologies that it's in healthcare or in other fields, right? And I was interviewed, and actually they liked the technology, and they said, like, welcome.
There's some validation for
that
you.
was a validation that, you know what, this is technology that is useful, it's cutting edge, and I can do it, right? So I stopped listening, hearing all these, voices around me. And since then, we got another big win, which was in Select USA 25 Investment Summit, which is a global summit, all the techs coming globally everywhere in Washington, D.C. And AirLabOne won its open tech category. Again, myself, chemist, doing deep tech technology, solving this, hardcore scientific problem. AirLabOne won. So every step going forward, I am proving that it's possible. Right.
So essentially you got validation from the industry that you needed to, as opposed to just random people who were potential investors who were just telling you what was going on for them and nothing to do with you, right?
Correct,
so you got that validation from companies like NVIDIA, with insane companies, right? Going, we like that. You should keep going with that.
Yes.
So really, if there's advice you could give anyone out there, if they've got an idea, it's don't go and ask people who aren't in the industry, even if they're investors or friends. Ask the people who are in the industry and see what they think, and get so more of a peer validation than anything else, right?
Yeah, the partners, and then I got actually other big partners in med device manufacturers, and they are the decision makers. They say there's a market, they like your product or no, and the customers. And the rest of the people, exactly, you said very correctly, they live in their own world, they service for themselves. It doesn't mean actually it's going to service your world or your objective. So you should be also very, subjective, which opinion to take, and never listen to no sayers.
Yes.
Because if it was easy, they would be, doing similar big things.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not going anywhere. So the fact that single-handed, I managed this, I'm quite actually happy with the progress, right? And I see this year especially was a big, growth for AirLabOne. And now we are in that stage between startup and scale up. Now I'm thinking the proper fundraising, right? Now I'm thinking proper, business, how we can grow. And in fact, since the win in the US, we have been approached by different states in the US to actually build and grow this technology in US, because at the end of the day, we're going to make new jobs for the Americans or wherever the technology will grow. And now we have an office in Southern California, again, strategically, decided, the one of second, apparently, economy in the world.
Yes,
California,
we talked about this the other day. California's second biggest economy in the world.
Yeah, I was actually impressed. I thought...
I love the way you say that.
Yes, I had no idea. I selected because lots of healthcare, very advanced, like we could offer autonomous healthcare there, right? But it came again organically. I just had to go and pitch the project, right? And next year is going to be even bigger, right? We hope Q2 to pilot our product in the US. We are already doing all the steps towards that. And the scale up will happen in the US.
It's a pivotal part, isn't it? It's exciting.
Very exciting and very actually happy to see the progress. It's like, you come up with a seed and you see the growth. You see the fruits coming up. Still, it's an Australian made and built company. Our headquarters is here.
And you bootstrap this yourself, right?
Yeah, correctly.
I mean, that's a long time to have that belief in yourself. I salute you for that. I think it's amazing. And to now suddenly be getting those rewards and that future, and obviously to potentially look at capital raising. And the capital raising, I'm assuming you're doing that now because being physical AI, the costs are enormous, right? We're not talking about just writing lines of code. We're talking about actual equipment, which is incredibly capital intensive.
Yes.
Hence the capital raise.
Yeah, the capital raise is also very important to scale up because we need to scale, right?
Yes.
And at the same time, we have new product coming up. That's as I said, we're moving to a National Innovation Space Hub in Cicada from next month.
I know, it's so
that's
exciting.
It's just look where we started, look where we go. And again, it came actually very naturally. In fact, the US, colleagues asked me how this technology could be used in space.
Yeah.
And I was like, hello, I'm here. We're here.
Yeah.
If you want. Yeah.
I mean, really, the industry is healthcare, mining and space, right?
It's a huge vertical.
Huge, but those three verticals in themselves are enormous. They're very well funded. There's a lot of growth in all of them. You couldn't really be in a better place. The space one's wild, though. For someone like you that likes to research and discover new things, going into an environment that is still so alien to us as a race, that must be thrilling.
That's actually quite exciting. I couldn't actually hold my excitement when I came back from the meeting I had with their management team at Cicada to my lab, and my engineers were there. I was like, guess what? That's I think most important achievement or milestone for this year for AirLabOne, because this shows, as you say, so much to discover in space, let alone life science in space, right? That we could help the scientists here to advance their technology, their drug discovery, or their research experiments, but in under microgravity conditions. So it's very exciting times where to be, and yes, raising to speed up our growth and bring the exceptional team around.
Well, you said to me something just before we started filming. You said the most important thing now is speed. Mm-hmm. So explain to me why speed is so important right now.
Yeah, because now the competition grows.
Yeah.
Right? Now other companies are starting, right? So we need to speed up, commercialize this product, and we have interest from the US. So we have to catch that interest. Yeah. And at the same time, because AI comes on board, right? So everyone is doing something new.
Fast as well.
Fast, yeah. And that's why we need to keep up. And from the innovation perspective, I'm confident that we are still ahead because we applied for a new provisional patent. That's my strength, right? Now I'm trying to, and now we are basically I'm working to catch the business side of the story of the company.
And so you're at this pivotal moment, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day when I came and saw you, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. If you were to fast forward, I don't know, 1 year and say 12 months, 24 months and 5 years, maybe 5 years is ridiculous, but no one can see 5 years ahead right now. Yeah. Let's just say the next 12 and 24 months. Where do you want that business to be? Where do you want AirLabOne to be in those periods of time? Just in your head right now. And I'm sure that will change because everything changes constantly when we're building businesses, and we know that. But if I ask you today, where do you want it to be in 12 and 24 months?
It's not in my head. It's already planned.
No, there you go.
So Q2, we moved our product to US, California, already making the steps, right? And by end of next year, we want to have a small, hopefully, manufacturing contractor to manufacture our hardware in the US.
So you'll build it in the US? You won't build it overseas elsewhere?
We are thinking it's a decision making, because the US gives some incentives to build some facility there.
They do at the moment,
we are applying now for some grants in Australia. I hope if we pass that grant. So we're building in Australia because we want to make Australian built products shipping in the US. But if we fail, we don't know. So basically, we will focus to US.
If anyone in the government's watching, if you give her the money, we'll build it here and make Australia great.
Yes.
as Trump would say. But if you don't, the incentives in the US are too tempting.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
especially some incentives from NASA.
Yeah, I'll bet. Well, let's hope we are intelligent enough here
to keep our startups.
To keep it here and to keep the intelligent people like you building the new future here. I hope that's the case.
That's the case, yeah. And after that, we are already planning next market entrance, which will be either Middle East or Europe.
Right, cool. You probably get more traction in the Middle East quicker. They seem to be a lot more forward thinking. Their investment. Tell me. Obviously, we're going to start helping you growing the business now.
Yes.
If anyone is watching this, why would someone want to come and work at AirLabOne?
Oh, this is actually a very good question. It depends. So I'm looking for people who like, challenges in terms of innovation, because what we build, the answers are not obviously there yet. So we do lots of research.
Yes.
So someone who is, this, mind thinking, brainstorming personality, is best place is AirLabOne, because we always have something that we think around, right? So it's a big technology to be around, but at the same time, the prospect, helping all these verticals we mentioned, to digitize, to create autonomy around, and basically be part of a story. Because at the end of the day, it depends on the person. And AirLabOne offers the innovation, cutting edge part, helping the verticals to grow bigger and faster, and traveling, hopefully. Because say next year, I have already planned 2-3 trips to US and might be also into Middle East. Be part of the trips as well.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Tell me, I mean, in some respects, there's also a really positive aspect around this, in that you're creating something new, but you're using something old to do that. So you're not just building from new, you're taking existing machinery, equipment, whatever it might be, and you're bringing it into the future rather than just going and building something new. I think that in itself makes it much more tenable as a business, because it's all very well to go and build a brand new robot and charge hundreds of millions of dollars for it, but that limits who can do that. But if you can say to someone, I know all the equipment you've got and we can make it work 100 times better, we can make it look after itself, we can put it in different environments you won't be able to before. The recyclable side of that, so anyone who sees that and feels that, we waste a lot of resources in this world, which we do, this is a way of not just wasting, this is a way of empowering and powering up, essentially, with old equipment, right?
It's so good description, because overall, that's why there is this terminology called legacy equipment. And now we have AI, and every second company wants to use the AI. But guess what? The infrastructure is not fit for that. They cannot just go plug in any AI.
No.
So what we do, we help them actually to make the infrastructure they have talk to the new technologies like AI. And
that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, we do it through digitization. We help them actually to become AI compatible.
It's fantastic. I think it's you know how much I'm a fan of your work.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm so excited to where you are, and seeing you the other day, you were so excited the other day because obviously you had the space thing and all that kind of stuff happening. I'm so pleased to see you, after believing in yourself and putting so much effort, and I know the crazy hours you've been working to do this, get to this point. And I can't wait to see what happens over the next 2 years. We're going to get you back on, you know that, right? Up. So we've got you on camera saying what was going to happen. So hopefully when we get you back on, you'll go, no, we did so much more than that. We blew that out the water.
Yeah.
And I think with your drive and your desire, I'm sure you will.
Yeah. 100% commitment to what I do, right? And why not? You look at the large companies, they play in the same field. They do digital twinning, physical AI. The fact that you are a small startup doesn't mean you don't have the great and brilliant ideas.
Absolutely. In fact, I would hope more likely you do. And you have the patents as well. So you're in a very unique position. Yeah.
Correct. And if any big company hears us, like Siemens Healthcare, we are here.
Just in case if they're there.
Yes, just saying there. But we are actually working quite cutting edge, digital twinning and automation and physical AI. And they also do great research and investment and research direction towards the same, way. So, just being a startup doesn't mean you don't do cutting edge.
Not at all.
And the fact that you might still bootstrap doesn't mean you are failing, because in the startup world it's a little bit,
I think that's changing. I think you're right. I think if you go back last 5-6 years, if you're not raising and putting your valuation up, which is all theoretical anyway, people see you failing. I actually think the ones that are bootstrapping are probably building longer, more sustainable businesses. I think people raise too early. I understand you need to raise to scale. There's no question about that. But I think people just focus on that almost way too early before they've even really got their product done.
Correct.
So, yeah, you've certainly got the product done. I mean, you're ready to pilot. You're good to go. So it's exciting.
And we have a great partner, Equinox Medical. We are ready to partner, right? And I went through that trap. When I started, what I was hearing, like funding, VC, instead of focusing on the product.
Yes.
Right? So that's why the time went by until I realized, look, I have to build a product.
You've got to build something before you fund it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but I learned. Yeah, first time
and
founder.
That's the important thing, right?
Yeah, I learned. Yeah. Now the product and the customer and the partner is the king. So I will always follow what feedback I'm getting from my partners, and the product, good product, fit product for the purpose, and the rest will come. Investors will come. All the grants, everyone will come.
Look, I have no idea. I really hope you get your grant. Do you know how long before you hear on that?
We hope sometime. We put starting date January.
So the next few weeks.
Yeah, next a few weeks. We hear that, and it will give us a new chapter on our space-based kind of life science product, which is the same product that we're building now, but we're upgrading for dual application, terrestrial and under microgravity. Yeah. So we make it more robust, but we need funds for that.
And if you get your grant, will you manufacture here with your own manufacturing plant, or will you use an Australian business to do that?
No, first we will partner and contract. We are thinking to work with Sydney Nanoscience Hub at the University of Sydney.
Yeah.
Right, they have clean rooms, brilliant conditions. I was actually quite impressed when I had a tour through their labs, like cutting edge, like, the pictures that I saw only in the movies. And I was like, they are next door.
They're literally 200 meters away.
Yes. And so once we get the funding, I hope they can manufacture our prototypes, which is a kind of device on a chip concept that we patented. And we will prototype a few examples. Then we will pilot, and we will pilot also in the US. So that's the whole point.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I, for one, cannot wait to watch this journey.
Yes, thank you.
And I can't wait to get you back on and show everyone who watches the show where you've got to.
Yes, definitely.
But thank you so much for coming and explaining it. And yeah, we just look forward to seeing how you go.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. In fact, thank you for giving the platform for startups and founders like me.
My
and the
pleasure.
Female founder, right?
Absolutely.
Not easy.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.